The British colonized India. They ruled over the Hindus, the Sikhs, the Muslims for some time. The Indians tried to fight back. The Muslims particularly tried to fight back. Didn't work for a long time. They were supposed to be the enemy, and you should hate everything about your enemy. But the enemy was very successful as teaching you that if you speak my language, you will be successful. If you dress like me, you will be more successful. If you eat like me, you will be more successful. If you talk like me, if you act like me, if you look like me, if you pretend that you are me, even though you're brown, if you pretend that you're white, you're going to get really successful. Because the British are a very small nation, if you didn't know. I've been to England many times, and you can drive across the country in a few hours. And every time I drive, most of it is farmland. One town, farmland, one town, farmland, and I look at it and I say, Ya Allah, these people and the entire planet, how in the world did that happen? And if you study English history, they were ready to kill each other. Their kings were ready to kill each other. And they go from there at a time when their entire military wasn't even 60, 70,000. If you want to exaggerate it, 200,000, their entire military. How? How did this happen? It didn't happen militarily. Something else was going on. And we need to understand how domination works. Yes, it works by military means, but there are other mechanisms, other weapons that are used. And in those weapons, even when people break free from the British, even when people fight in Algeria, they fight and kill. They get killed to get the French out of their land. They can get the French out, but there's a French that stays inside. They can get the British out, but there's a British that stays inside. And when it resides inside, now you can go to a country like Pakistan, which I love. And Pakistan has a remarkable heritage of many, many languages. Many of those languages are dying, right? And if you go to a restaurant and you speak in Urdu, then the waiter might look at you like. But if you say the same exact thing in English, on top of that, if you say it in an American accent, please sir, this way sir. You could conduct the experiment. I could walk into the same restaurant with a suit on, speak in English, I could go back out, change it to Shalwar Kameez, and then come back in and speak in Urdu. Completely different treatment. And this is not in America. The mistreatment is not in America. It's not happening in Canada. It's not happening in England. This is happening in the Muslim world. And it's not just Pakistan. It's happening in India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Malaysia. It's happening in North Africa, all over the Muslim world. You know what it is? We freed ourselves. We did. But did we? Did we free ourselves? It's as if we wanted another missile. We wanted another missile. And the new one, for the new generation now, they're like, I was born in Canada. What are you talking about? I can't relate to any of this. Yeah. We talk to you for a second. You know who your colonizer is? Brand names. Your loyalty to your entertainment accounts. Your worship of your sports teams. This is how your new master keeps you busy. It keeps you busy with the new car that came out, the new phone release that came out, that has a camera, which is exactly the same as the last camera. But for you, your life is incomplete if you don't have the newest one. You have to have it. You have to show it. You will be proud of democracy, living in a democracy that is so busy destroying democracies all over the world. But you're so proud of democracy. And then, at least we have rights, at least we have this, and then that facade will start breaking. Banu Israel have escaped Fir'aun. They got away from Fir'aun. Musa alayhi salam comes with them to the desert. So Allah provided the shade, as you might know. وَظَلَّلْنَا عَلَيْهِمُ الْغَمَامِ. And then وَأَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَنَّ وَالسَّلْوَى. Right? So Allah sent them manna and salwa. So the food is taken care of. It's a full nutritional plan. They can survive perfectly well and be hydrated now with freedom. And these people that were free physically were still enslaved mentally. And they come to Musa alayhi salam in ayah number 61. And they say, we don't have the patience to keep eating the same food over and over again. What's for lunch? Manna and salwa. What's for dinner? Salwa and manna. So they turned to Musa alayhi salam, and in this part of this complaint, said, why don't you go make dua to your Rabb? He should bring out some other variety of vegetables for us. Now you got free, but your brain is still in the jail cell, and you're asking for the food you used to enjoy in the jail cell, and you're telling your prophet, yeah, this freedom is nice, but can we go back to jail food? Can we have that again? So what I'm trying to tell you by means of this ayah is that Musa alayhi salam gave them a warning. If this is what you want to live as slaves again, if not physically, then mentally, go ahead. Go into another Egypt. This time, it's not a Fir'aun that has to rule you. Fir'aun is already in your head, and you are colonizing yourselves on autopilot. I mean, the best kind of slave is a slave you don't even have to build a prison. Save money. The slave who's a slave while he thinks he's free. The owner doesn't even have to spend any money. This is the easiest way. This is great. You know, there used to be a time before the banking systems that developed and the taxation systems that developed that the kings used to send the forces, and the forces used to come and collect the money from every house, and they got smarter. They're like, this is too much. I've got to pay the soldier. I got to pay the horse. I got to pay the cart. I got to pay the travel expense. Then they got to collect the money. I lose a lot of money this way. Let's make an automated billing system so when people are riding down the highway, the toll will rob them and they won't even know, and they'll feel like they're free. The road is so nice. The view is so nice. They'll be smiling while being robbed. They'll be smiling while they'll pay taxes on their income, then they'll pay taxes when they buy a bottle of milk. Then they'll pay taxes when they're recycling that bottle of milk. Then they'll pay taxes when they buy the car and park the car and emissions from the car. We'll just keep taking their money back and they'll be smiling. You're like, this is so great. This is a much better slavery system than even Fir'aun. Fir'aun would have been proud. Fir'aun would have said, this is a real upgrade. And if you'd allow this, if you don't break free from at least mentally being owned. So what happened to Muslim cultures, where if you pretend, there are cultures today, and I know I've visited them, I've had those conversations, Muslim cultures, where if a woman is wearing hijab, she's considered a villager, uneducated, and backwards. And the moment they act more, they want to act more American and more Western than Westerners. They don't even act that Western. Why? Because we want to feel like we're modern. We want to feel like we're modern. What's the biggest, you'll notice war-torn countries where entire, cities have been decimated. People have been destroyed. And those same people, their sense of value comes from, hey, I just bought, look at the brand of my belt. Look at these shoes. Look at this coat I got. This is where your value is coming from. The master says, buy from me, pay me taxes, and be proud of it too. How more low can one get? This is not about halal and haram. I want you to understand that. This is about self-respect. This is about self-respect. And I'll conclude with this. Every culture on earth is an extension of what was given to Adam alayhi salam. أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكُمْ لِبَاسًا يُوَارِي سَوْآتِكُمْ وَرِيشًا. Adam alayhi salam was told, Allah has revealed clothing to you so it covers your privates. So whether you're dressed in Bangladeshi clothes, Pakistani clothes, Afghani clothes, American clothes, Canadian clothes, British clothes, Japanese clothes, all of them were actually started by what was given to Adam alayhi salam. And Allah gave us guidelines in His book and the sunnah of His messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam to remove ignorance from the clothes, and you can wear decent clothes while being Japanese. You can wear decent clothes while being American. You can wear decent clothes while being Chinese or any other nation. It's not the cultures that were being rejected. It was the colonization that was being rejected. It was the ruler mindset, the worship of the ruler that was being rejected. And subhanAllah, we are living in amazing, amazing times. At this time, for us to contemplate ayat like these, especially for the young generation, they have an opportunity to break the colonization that has dominated the Muslim mind for well over a century. Well over a century. Muslims are a very powerful force on earth. We've been sleeping for a couple of hundred years. We've had a bad season. We've just had a bad season. But that doesn't mean we're weak. We're the sleeping giant. That's what we are. Well, we're starting to wake up. We're starting to wake up. What's happening in Gaza isn't just opening up the eyes of the world to what's happening. What's the political reality? It's not just teaching Americans. We keep saying freedom of speech, but we don't really have it. We keep saying freedom of expression, but we don't really have it. We keep saying freedom of protest, but we don't really have it. It's not just teaching the Americans that very, very important lesson. Oh my God, they did think of us like slaves. They just put invisible fences. They're not just, but the Muslims are learning. What have I been worshiping? What cow did I just make and worship? Like the Israelites and their golden calf, right? It doesn't have to be a golden calf anymore. It could be a golden logo of anything. It could be a golden Nike. It could be a golden Ferrari, a golden Chanel, all golden cows. Those are all the cows today. So I pray this is the beginning of something. This is the beginning of a new awakening, where we're not culturally dominated anymore. We can express ourselves and think for ourselves, and we're not loyal to anything but the truth. And we can invite the world to see the truth, instead of seeing the truth through the lens of someone who just wants control and manipulation.